Question number 11. The graph below represents the parent function, y equals x squared. Graph the equation, y equals 1/4 x squared minus 6 on the graph to the right. So what we're going to do is we're going to go find some good dots, and to find those good dots, we're going to ask Desmos for help. So let's go to Desmos and type in our equation. Your equation was y equals 1/4, and then go out to the side so that your x is not on the bottom, x squared minus 6. So we have some good dots here that we can use. And we can use a table, or we can just tap on them and copy them over one at a time. Your y-intercept is pretty good, 0, -6. So we can do that. So I'm going to use 0, -6. And so that's down here. And then we can also go and find some other good dots. Let's see if these zeros are good. Oh, I don't want to use those. Those have crazy decimals. So let's change it to a table, and let's see if we can find some good dots that way. Okay, so -2, -5, this first one right there, looks really good. And so we can graph that one. There it is in our table. So it should be to the left of our vertex. So backwards 2, left 2, and then down 5. And then we can also use +2, -5. So I'm going to go ahead and write both of those in my table so I don't have to keep going back and forth. So it was a -2, -5, and a +2, -5. So I'm going to go graph those. And it looks like this. And so our parabola is going to go out like this. The point of this question was going to be to match on your CBA graphs that are correct. And you need to do the same steps that we just did, finding accurate dots that match, not just kind of like, oh, hey, it's kind of right there. But you need to actually match the dots, match the points. For question number 12, complete the statement about the relationship between the graph of the quadratic parent function, there it is, and the function g of x. So again, what we're going to do is we're going to go type these in to Desmos, and we have our parent function, f of x equals x squared, and then our g of x equals -2x squared minus 8. I don't see anything, so I'm going to pinch, pull, and drag until I do see something so that I can compare them. All right, so the question says, the graph of g of x opens, so we're talking about this blue one. So the blue one, does it open up or down? So that's going to be, circle what you think. Is it, and then it says circle 1, narrower or wider? So if you want to compare them, we can maybe zoom out a little bit so we can see. They look pretty close, but again, this blue one is a little bit more of one thing than the other. So again, circle what you think, and then we'll match in just a minute. And then it says it's either narrower or wider than the parent function, and it's translated. So again, we need to pick a direction. Our choices are left, right, up, or down. So when you start off, you're always going to start at your origin. Put your finger there and move to the new graph. Move to that g of x function, the blue one that I have. Which way do you move, and circle your direction? And if the numbers are messing with you, you can zoom in so that you can see the numbers a little bit more clearly. All right, so what you should have had, what you should have already circled on your own, is that it opened down. And we know it's going to open down because it's got a negative out front. The graph is more narrow. And we know that it's going to be more narrow because this 2, the bigger the number, the steeper the sides. And then the last part that you should have circled was that it goes down. And we know that because of this n number. So for this question, there is no set of parentheses that we draw our house around. It would just kind of be here on the x. The number out front is your flagpole number that tells you about the steepness. And then the -8 is where that trampoline is out in the backyard that tells you if you go up or down. Because it's a negative, that means you go down. Question number 13. The area of a rectangle is 48x to the 12th power, y to the 9th power, square yards. If the length of the rectangle is 12x to the 4th, y to the 3rd yards, which expression represents the width of the rectangle in yards? So again, to kind of figure out what's going on, you should draw yourself a picture. 48x, 12y to the 9th. And why did I put that inside? Because it says that's the area. Area goes inside. And then it says the length of the rectangle. So that means one of these sides. So like this, 12x to the 4th, y to the 3rd. And then it says which expression represents the width, so we don't know the side. So how do you find area? Again, you have to show up knowing this. Area is length times width. So that means we plug in our numbers into the spots. The A number, area, is inside. So we're going to start off with 48x to the 12th, y to the 9th. And then it says the length. And then we plug in our length number. So the length is this. So in the length spot, we're going to plug in 12x to the 4th, y to the 3rd. I'm going to use parentheses. And then we don't know the width, so we leave that blank. So you can approach this a couple different ways. You can divide if you want to find out what's missing, or the way that I like to do it and the way that I'm going to approach it in this question is by figuring out what's missing and use multiplication. So how do I know it's multiplication? Because the parentheses are side by side. Anytime you have the parentheses side by side, that means multiply. So 12 times what is going to give us a 48? Is it 12 times 36? Is that 48? No, that's crazy town. You can check yourself on Desmos. 12 times 4 is 48, so we need a 4 in the front. Already, just from knowing 12 times 4 is 48, you can eliminate half of your choices. Now the next part's a little bit tricky. So we need to remember our rules. You are going to multiply your coefficients, and then this is where it gets very tricky. Some students think that you still multiply your exponents. So what I want to do is I want to take a minute and I want to expand. The 4 exponent goes with the x. That means 1, 2, 3, 4. And on the other side, I have 12 that goes with the x. So if I expand that, that means x, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So that means I have x times x times x times x times x 12 times. So now what do I need to put? What do I need to put on this other side so that I have the same amount of x's? And the students trying to do shortcuts think, oh, 4 times 3 is going to give you 12. But with exponent rules, the rules say that you multiply your coefficients, but you add your exponents. So this is really tricky because you're doing two different things, even though it just says multiply in the middle. So you have to remember that. So how many things do I have to add so that the x's are the same on both sides? Well, I had 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And now we count those back up. How many did I add? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So your answer is going to be D for this one. Let's go ahead and check also using our y's. So again, we have 9 y's. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 y's being multiplied together. And over here we only have 3. 1, 2, 3. How many more do we have to put so that we get those 9? So over here, how many am I missing? Well, I had 3. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and we count them back up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh, so it looks like we might not have a right answer. This should be a 6 right here. So we have 9, and then, like we said, we had 9. There's 3 over here, and there should be 6 over here, so that your 3 plus your 6 is your 9. So please fix that on your review. And for those of you that tried to do this without, you should not have come up with a correct answer. So please make that change.